Bonjour à tous. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Can you confirm me that the microphone is working? Looks like it is working. Bonjour à tous. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Can you confirm me that the microphone is working? Can you hear me? Bonjour à tous. Hi everyone. Okay. The only issue is I can hear myself speaking, and so how do I turn this? The only issue is I can hear down myself speaking, and so how do I turn this? The only issue is I can hear down myself speaking. No, you can't hear me. And okay. So I'll mute myself on Twitch, but I'm muted already. No, you can't hear me. Okay. So I'll mute myself on Twitch, but I'm muted already. No, you can't hear me. Okay. So I'll mute myself on Twitch, but I'm muted already. Let me figure it out. The sound is off on Twitch, yes, indeed. Let me figure it out. The sound is off on Twitch, yes, indeed. On the lower left corner, the little microphone icon. The sound is off on Twitch, yes, indeed. On the lower left corner, the little microphone icon. The sound is off on Twitch, yes, indeed. On the lower left corner, the little microphone icon. Oh well, at least you don't hear me twice. 2 pages open. Do I have 2 pages open? I don't have a single tab open. Oh well, at least you don't hear me twice. Oh, I know what's happening. Okay. Is that better? Can you still hear me? Do you still hear me twice? Okay, perfect. Okay, because I had I'm multi-streaming on YouTube too, and for some reason the chat is not working on both platform at the same time. So I was hearing the YouTube tab. Let me just fix this. Okay. So it looks like it's working. So welcome to this first Twitch. We already had the first technical glitch. Let's hope it will be the last one. It's the first Twitch on this channel. Yesterday I was on the Twitch channel of Cafeinoman, and I encourage you to check it out. Both the channel and the stream we did yesterday. Mostly I showed sketchbooks. So, and I had a promise to fulfill. I need to show you a sketchbook that I talked about yesterday. So I'll begin with this quick sketchbook. It's a small one, so it should go fast. So this sketchbook was part of my graduation program. Graduation, not program. The theme was the theme of the hero, and basically it was like Rashomon or the Bible or an instance of the Finger Post, which is a novel I had just read. And basically it's a pretty classical system where it's a single story told 4 times differently by 4 different narrators. And this one was the last version of the story. It's called The Fool's Notebook, and it's pretty much the notebook of kind of a madman who's basically witnessing the arrival of a foreigner in the area, and he's convinced that this guy, the arrival of this character has a specific meaning. So he writes everything down in the notebook. The story of the notebook is that basically I had to, the fourth version of this story was done pretty fast because I had to change my mind at the very last minute, and I only had 10 days left. So in order to have the time to print everything, I had to fill the whole sketchbook in a week, which is not a very normal growth duration for a sketchbook. Granted, I had told the same story already 3 other times, so I knew I had a lot of things to say, and I had to find every morning new ideas. So I worked a lot with stains and creativity tricks in order to force feed the sketchbook as quickly as I could. So the story in itself, I'm not going to go too much into detail because it would be too long, and I'm not sure it would be interesting. But basically, it's always the interpretation of the narrator based on the events he's witnessing. I did a trip in Scotland before the whole project began with my friend Armel, and we were close to the island of Skye for the people who knows Scotland. The most beautiful country I had the chance to visit, actually. So I picked up a lot of stuff, including the name on the map we have of the region. So you can see I made up a fake language here based on the Scottish names of all the little towns that were in the area. Lots of rabbits too. This is actually tree bark. I mean, I picked it up when we were doing this trip, and when I came back and I had to fill the whole sketchbook, I used everything I had gathered, and so to me it did look like a piece of fish skin. So I made up an excuse to draw a fish based on the piece of tree bark. So all the stains that would go through the pages, because the sketchbook is not really designed to be soaked in with water or watercolor or ink. So I would use them, and even this little stain, I turned it into a rabbit. I'm gonna actually zoom on the sketchbook so that you can see better. I need to check on the chat too. Okay, I'll try to remember to check out for questions. So a lot of landscapes, very few character. I guess I was already not a character designer. Oh, I also made up a fake language for the visions the guy would receive the messages and all the chants he would hear. This is based on a sketch I did around the Old Man of Store, which is an amazing place on the island of Skye. More rabbits. And actually the rabbits would gather around the Old Man of Store inspired location. I'm just checking, yes. And I see the same made up language scrolling down on the base of the pages, and all the rabbits would gather at the full moon. You can imagine what happens, or you can't. So yeah, this sketchbook is very unique to me because it's something that I didn't think was possible, but I guess I didn't have the time to overthink it, so I did it, and I also aged it a lot. I would dip it in bleach and put it in a vise at night in the basement of my parents' house, and I would hit it with like hammers and screwdriver. And as you can see, it's quite weathered, but it was brand new when I began, and a week after that, it really looked like it was the Professor Jones kind of sketchbook for the people who are familiar with the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which was obviously a major influence. And so yeah, I guess I made up my adventurer's sketchbook myself. So a lot of stuff happens to this poor narrator. He's witnessing a lot of very scary and strange events, always dealing with, astrology and trump cards and weird messages in an unknown language, strange vision, like some kind of a burning bush, like the tree version of a burning bush. And I decided to work everything monochromatic except I would be using Prussian blue. And every day in the morning I would begin with making up a lot of stains, making them dry with a hairdryer, and trying to figure out what kind of stains, what kind of a drawing I would be able to make with these stains. My friend Armel is Armel Gaulle. Yeah, that's him, Xavier. And we spent like, I don't know, 10 days together in Scotland. It was a great trip. We planned on I did everything, the sketchbook in a week. Yes, I did the sketchbook in a week. But as you see, I wrote a lot because I thought it would be an easy way to fill the paper. So I never proofread myself, and it's probably filled with typos and sentences that have no meaning or not even a proper ending. What else? For example, this was a wax. My sister had been given a seal and some red wax for her birthday, and her name is Stephanie, and so it was the letter S. So I made up a good reason to use this wax. This is a copy from an etching. I don't know, probably a German etching from the 16th century. This is a weird story where a bridge was made up with nails. Yeah, I guess at some point he's completely lost, so he's trying to read the future inside a chicken, I mean a hen. So the chicken is being opened at some point, but the reading is inconclusive. And then after, he's chased by the nightmare, the ghost of the chicken. So he thinks he sees the chicken everywhere after that in the landscape. And then he has vision. And I was getting closer to the end of the whole thing. So it makes less and less sense. But if you don't know it, it looks consistent. This is a piece of lichen I used to create some kind of a very organic and strange dragon-looking helmet. It's another piece of lichen I brought back from Scotland too. And the made-up language. I think there was a course in the Isaac Penningen school that I graduated from. I think the typography teacher made the students invent an alphabet, and it's a class I couldn't take because it was before I joined the school, and but I'm really fantasized about this assignment. So more astrology. At the time, I was actually interested in astrology with my friend Arthur. This page was torn, so I sewed it back. And there's the whole thing in the story, like he regrets that he tore the page down, so he put it back together inside the notebook. There's a vision of a seahorse. What does he say? I can't remember. I think he's pretty lost. A horse head, helmet. It's based on a helmet at the Army Museum in Paris, in the great Invalides Museum. If you have the chance, it's an amazing place to visit in Paris. There you go. I think this is based on the Carré Magique, I don't know how you say it in English, magical square, I guess, in one of Dürer's etching. And yeah, that's pretty much at the end of the notebook is a lot of writing. There is a quick epilogue, but not a ton of drawing. So yeah, this was for the people who followed me from yesterday's Twitch. So thanks for joining in tonight. There's a video on my YouTube channel of the whole sketchbook if you want to take a look at it. I'm checking if you have any question. Checking on the YouTube people. Okay. What do I want to show you? Yeah, another sketchbook. This one is a production sketchbook, so I'll move my camera again because this one is bigger. There you go. It was the tease, exactly, the tease of yesterday's stream. This one, let me check how it is being framed. Okay. So I'll move my stuff around. There you go. Getting there. Oh no, I need to move it on the right. There's a small delay. Nope. It's kind of annoying. Oh, it's upside down? Yes, same thing as yesterday, you're right. So, is it better like this? Perfect. Thanks for letting me know. So yeah, as I was explaining, something I explained yesterday during Xavier's Twitch stream was that when I begin a sketchbook, I try to fill it up with something because I want to avoid as much as possible the stare of the white page. And this one was made for the beginning of Dragon 2 when I was working on the project. So I did a bunch of dragon heads based on loose stains, loose and random stains I had done with I think it was watercolor. This was one of the thumbnail exploration layouts I mentioned yesterday. And for these, I used the template I mentioned yesterday. So as you can see, there's different frames. So I would, draw one, then put a piece of removable tape, and then go to another one. And so it's like altogether, it's like 10 thumbnails. And thank you, Buka Lemon. Those layouts were mostly to explore possible angles for the a location in the movie. It was an ice canyon that the dragons were flying through at some point. I think it was completely cut. I'm not sure, but I think it was completely cut for the movie in the end. And the challenge here was to try to find variation and never to follow compositions that were too similar. And I was happy with the result. I mean, besides those two ones that are a little too similar. And the challenge was to give a sense of scale with a very reduced size. Hi, Jeremy. Thank you for being there. So these were after these were other exploration I did, digital ones. So this is based on Photoshop, and it's mostly photo bashing. They're not really great, but they were part of the whole thing. What's happening underneath? Oh, there are some ugly drawings. Yeah, I don't know why there was some dragon heads. This was the exit of the ice canyon. So giant ice structure, and the whole fleet of the bad guy was supposed to go through the ice canyon, and this is how they were supposed to find Hiccup's mother's lair, and where she was hiding and protecting all the dragons. And this is another version. This is how it. I'm actually happy it's here. So this is the finished version, and this is how it begins. So it's very, it's line drawing, and then I put some tape and put a layer of graphite, and then I build up my values. These were dragon traps, designs for traps to catch dragons, so that they could use them to power some of the war machines they had, and just to capture and enslave them, basically. So it was a lot of research about how you lure a dragon inside a trap, what kind of shape, what kind of mechanism, even how you would bring the traps on the battlefield. It's probably flipped horizontally to crap. We're gonna, nope. There you go. Thank you, Xavier. No, it's not that important, but it's better. I'd like to be able to save the settings so that it doesn't happen all the time. Anyway, so yeah, I figured that some of the enslaved dragon would pull the traps because they would be so big and heavy, because in order to capture a dragon, you need a really big piece of equipment. And in the end, the final version was this one. And I did a little schematic to explain how this would work. And these were the first sketches for the dragon machines, and how they would work. It doesn't really make sense to shoot at dragons. I mean, you can use a catapult to shoot at a castle, because the castle will never fight back. The castle doesn't breathe fire, the castle doesn't fly. So it was hard to make a believable machine. And I mean, traps, it's easier to sell. This is a paint over a Maya model I did. At the time, I was trying to understand Maya a little bit. So Maya and Photoshop. And this is based on a rough model. Then I think I have this is one of the first Cintiq drawing I did. And so this is the final version. And these were the research for the head that would be at the end of the machine. I mean, at the front of the machine. And this was another trap. Same thing. I did a rough blocking in Maya, and then and these were more research for the previous machine. And this was the initial sketch. And they're all based on the designs of the dragons in the movie. You're welcome. I'm happy to share those sketchbooks. This is another page for a scene that was cut to the beginning when they were discovering the Sami village. That was a beautiful location. A lot of it was designed by Kirsten Kawamura, and she had done a terrific job. I can see that it's not perfectly the fixative didn't work everywhere. I need to remember to put some more. And this was the two sides of the canyon. A lot of research on the shape of the rocks. This was the initial pencil sketch. This was an elevator. It was supposed to help people to reach out the very top of the part of the island inhabited by the Vikings in the movie. It was the house of the what's her name? She was like the old woman. How do you say this in English? Well, basically, she was seeing the future. Not a fortune teller. I just watched your question book, Lemon. What kind of environment are you thinking about? Crone? Bonjour Pierre, merci de nous rejoindre. The canyon, the canyon. You mean this design or the thumbnail? Sear. Yeah, I think sear is a better word. The colored one. The colored one. You mean the colored canyon, or you mean one of the dragon machine painting? The one just on the left of the thumbnail. Oh, you mean, okay, this. How do I approach Boyd? Basically, I did a research, as you can see here, to see what kind of shape language I would be dealing with. So I did a lot of studies about the whimsical quality we would have with top-heavy shapes, and so they were all based on a vertical axis, a single cylindrical pillar, and I would build around them. And then after, I did this version, and you have the scale here. This is toothless, so it's a really big environment. And once I had done that, I switched to this version, and I tried to avoid to have this too much repetition, so I have like big empty places and places with more details. And so it's pretty much it was a while ago, but I think that's how I approached the whole thing. So yeah, the idea on Dragon 2 was that the Vikings were using the dragons in their daily life, and that since they didn't have to spend so much time and energy to fight and kill them, they could concentrate on Hiccup's inventions. And so he designed this elevator, but everything is influenced by dragon in the decoration, and sometimes it's being powered by the strength of the dragon. So there was a weather vane also I think on top of the house. So I did a lot of designs based on the shape language that Pierre-Olivier Vincent came up with the help of Kirsten, I think, in the first movie. I wasn't there at the beginning of the first movie, so I don't exactly know who came up with this language. It's so I can't tell. But anyway, in the end, I ended up using this tiny sketch. I blew it up, and then I painted it in Photoshop. I can't remember what that was for. Oh, there is more. Okay. And this is the end of Dragon, I think, of Dragon 2. These were sketches done for... At some point, I heard that they were adapting... in France, there was an animated movie based on the Tardy, the comic book artist. It was Avril et les monts de... Je m'en rappelle plus comment ça s'appelle. Can't remember the name in French. But I thought maybe I could send them some design to try to get a job, but I didn't end up doing it. This was one of the development projects at DreamWorks when I was in between projects. It was a dog story in New York. And the production designer wanted to have a style that was very close to Avril et les monts truqués. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Pierre. So she wanted something very textured, so we used the pencil. The drawings were done with a charcoal, and I only worked like a couple of weeks on the whole thing. Can't remember it. I think it was for Puss in Boots too, but it was something I did on my own. This something I also did on my own when I was waiting to get a proper assignment. More layout explorations. I think it was for a class. No, this was for the same thing before. This is the only paper drawing I did for Sonic. I spent 10 months working on Sonic Boom for a Big Red Button, who was the vendor of Sega on this video game project. And the only drawing I did was I was in a line at the post office, and I was trying to find an idea for a building. And this is the only thing that I have left. I mean, this the only not pencil but pen drawing. Everything else was done on a Cintiq. And this was some ideas for some designs for StarCraft, because I thought I could try to send my portfolio to Blizzard. So these were Musk Ox mecha design. This was for a video game pitch, a mobile video game for a Canadian company. And it was a bunch of weird creatures that were living inside giant trees. And I pitched them the idea that they were harvesting the sap that would drip and flow from the trees, and use it as a source of energy, and for all their craftsmanship. And it was based on the tree sap. And there were some very strange creatures in the world. And the world itself was pretty much anchored on the back of giant turtle-looking creatures. I mean, halfway between turtles and crocodiles. It was a pretty fun project. I worked like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, if I remember correctly. This was another project for a French company, and so yeah, full disclosure, I don't don't speak Japanese, and I completely made up those signs. I have no idea. I'm not even sure they mean anything. Drawing on paper, yes, I mean, probably, but I like drawing on Cintiq too. It's just the style is completely different. It's much closer to Franco-Belgian comics. It looks like inking. It doesn't look like drawing, because I'm still waiting to be convinced by an actual pencil brush. So this project was based on basically the whole thing took place in a sushi restaurant in Japan, and the sushi restaurant was completely crushed between the much bigger buildings. Hold on, I'm reading comment from Lost Brush. Find a way I draw on paper. I often find the way I draw on paper is very different when using a Cintiq in terms of creativity and line flair. Do you have any tips on making the digital process feel more like traditional sketching? No, I have no tip. Actually, I have a pencil tip, no, stylus tip. I'm using a nib that is supposed to have a little bit of grip, but honestly, I'm not really sure it does. Salut Cassis. No, yeah, I don't, and I'm not trying to emulate it. Honestly, I tried, and I spent a lot of time, and every time I would go on a piece of paper, I would find, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to try with such a sophisticated piece of equipment to emulate something that looks to me so simple and that yet is so much more powerful. So I stopped, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep drawing on paper, and then I will scan them, and that will be it. And that was my tip. But you know, if you have any tip, I'm curious and I'm interested. So anyway, more drawings for this sushi project. So we're still in an urban, modern environment, and there's like God rays showing us the little restaurant completely swallowed by the big city. Okay, this was like three-quarter down view of the restaurant. And basically the sushis are part of made-up stories. So then we switch into the world of sushi, and the cups and the bowls and all the dishware is being used to recreate Japanese traditional architecture. And pieces of vegetables like broccoli and horseradish, and they're pretty much used to emulate the vegetation, the flora and fauna. So this was the first pass on the. Actually, not the first pass was with this, and I didn't convince them with the idea of using the traditional thatched house, les toits en chaume pour les francophones. That I thought were really cool, but they didn't look Japanese, traditional Japanese, like samurai Japanese enough, I guess. And so yeah, more exploration. So every house is pretty much a bowl with a roof, or a bowl over a roof. And then, you know, I added a cup on top of it, and then I used all the dishware that I could find. There's even a Goldorak. The name in English is Mazinger, am I correct? I don't know. You'll confirm it to me or not. Come on, no anime fan? Help me out. Anyway, this was another project based on a plush toy from the 80s that I won't name here. But basically, a lot of furry, very soft trees. There you go. More sketches. Weird monsters in the middle of... I don't know what they're doing here. More trees. Some layouts. I think this was done for the... I did a class at the... in Pasadena with the... I can't remember. I forgot the Kevin Chen school. Anyway, it will come back to me. I'm reading the comments. What do you mean by stereotype? I'm waiting for Buka Lemon to explain his questions more into with more details. So yeah, concept. Oh crap, I can't remember the name. Anyway, I gave a 10-session class, and it was based on the Little Red Riding Hood. So more thumbnail. This was for a project I did with a friend about a crazy family. So for once there was a bunch of weird looking characters. And I don't know why there's this giant dragon monster here. More dragons, little tiny dragons. I showed the hello, Lucy. Are you Patrice's daughter? Anyway, welcome. Some little dragons I really like this one for some reason. Trees they were mountain trees, and they were supposed to be in a valley where the trees were very, very strange, and it would be the first time mankind would witness those trees. A lot of strange shapes and weird textures. The goal was for every one of them to come up with a different design. And then underneath the trees, there were there was a cave network, and the caves had a very unique rock formation. So for this, I actually have another accidental example of how I would work. So I did a line drawing of all the shapes. Then I erased, I did a graphite paste on everything that I smudged with a tissue or something. Then I would use this electric eraser to bring back some highlights. And then I would go back and push the values, basically, and in order to recreate the texture I was looking for. So this is based on a combination of different references from different rock formation of whatever happens underground, which I think is fascinating. So yeah, that was a lot of fun because the crystals are so amazing in nature. And this is another project, an underwater project that I showed quickly yesterday during Xavier's Twitch stream. I did a little bit of character at first, research. It didn't go further than that. And it was the friendship between a beluga and a shrimp at the time. The beluga ended up being a killer whale. And this was the village, the shrimp village, that actually ended up. I ended up building the village with a physical maquette that was 3 feet tall or 1 meter high. I don't know. And I did it on my own because I figured that if I asked permission, it wouldn't be granted. So I did it on my own, and then one day I brought it to the production people, which there were not a lot of people. It was just a producer, director, and me at the time, pretty much. And they thought it was really cool. And for a few weeks, they kept it in the reception area of the little art department. And I loved it. And I love working with physical models. I think they're extremely powerful. Checking on the... So I'm going to answer Christine Marine question. Well, if you're referring to this or anything, I mean, this is very, because you can't make up that kind of thing if you didn't do a lot of studies before. So for this, I used a lot of references, and I basically did some kind of sketch bashing, which would mean I would pick different things from different picture, and I would also rely heavily on the graphite graphic accidents to help me with the texture. And the more organic, the easier it is if you rely on the graphite. So all the cross-hatching you're doing is creating some kind of texture, and I would see some volume, and I would, push the dark and clean up the highlights so that the volume would pop and would read eventually. So yeah, for this I used a lot of references because I couldn't even fathom the kind of material you would find underground. So I'm hoping I answered your question. So it's both my imagination. I'm basing my work on reference, and then when I actually put the shade, the graphite shading, some more texture is happening. And for this is exactly the same. Everything you're seeing here, there, it's something I saw when I was putting the graphite on, and then I use my kneaded eraser to just bring back the lights and make the volume appear, pretty much. So these were more sketches that I did for the shrimp project. Killer whale, a lot of scars because these guys were fighting. I showed this spread yesterday during Xavier's stream, so I apologize for the people who saw it already. But Christine, it's a good illustration it's the perfect illustration of what I meant. You know, when I put the graphite, the first pass, which was I roughly at the volume of the whale-shaped underwater mountain, and so I maybe had the spine and roughly the face and maybe the fin on the side, and I just put a first layer of graphite everywhere, and the texture really came out from this graphite. I mean, it was not one pass, but you know, I cross-hatched my work, and then stuff appeared, and then after with the kneaded eraser, it made the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing came up, not by itself, but almost. Yeah, well, yeah, do try it, please. Yeah, trust. The thing is, you need to be relaxed and trusting the technique, which is not really a technique. It's just like looking at clouds and deciding that this one looks like an elephant and this one looks like a kangaroo riding a bicycle, pretty much. So yeah, so this was an underwater mountain, and this and this are the blown up version of this, and this. Yes, that's it. This was the inside of the shrimp houses and how they would come in and out. So you have the scale here. So they would enter through different holes, and then every apartment would communicate with one another through tiny tunnels inside the rock. Hello, Noel. Welcome. As far as the detail, you have to keep in mind it was my daily job, so I spent a lot of time doing them. So it is time consuming, a lot, but you know, hey, this is what I'm being paid for, so, and I'm enjoying it also. It's not like it's torture at all. Some more underwater landmark, some kind of natural gate of some kind, and then there was the crab claw, which was another landmark I worked on. And there was a giant squid at some point. This was this was mostly put here in order to hide this drawing. You're right, Christine. Finding shape inside of shapes. Thank you, Lieutenant Kaname. There's a beluga here, and then some more research on there's a giant steamliner. I think it's called steamliner, like the Titanic, that kind of ship. And they would go and they would pass by the sunken ship, and they would go in and stuff would happen. So I did a pass on this. And basically after, I think I understood that the ship was broken in half, and it was basically like a broken bridge in between two humongous mountains underwater. So I did this pass, and same thing here. Graphite made half of the work itself. So I'm apologizing for the glare. It's always an issue with such a large amount of graphite. I think it's better when I'm holding it like that. Hi, Noel. Are you the Noel I'm thinking you are? And thank you for your kind words. So this was the end of the shrimp project, pretty much, I think. This was then I switched project because I worked for 3 months on the shrimp project, and then I went on to another one. The shrimp project and this one were done at Paramount. And Paramount Animation, and then I ended up working on a movie called Wonder Park that I don't know if you've seen it. I didn't really have a good time on this project. It was not a good experience, but at the time this was fun. It was very different because they had me design the room of a very creative teenager. Her name was June, and she was, I don't know, 9-year-old, 10, 12, I can't remember. Anyway, she was constantly creating a ton of stuff. As Caffeinoman, I didn't try the matte graphite Faber-Castell. I didn't even know they existed. Practical answer, I do use fixative for graphite. Very basic fixative you can find in any art store. So I don't have any brand to recommend. I'm not doing it for everything, but as soon as there is a little bit of graphite, yes, I try to spray them in order to avoid smudging. Yeah, this was the front and back view of the system she would use I can't remember what she was doing, but there was a zip line involved, and basically when she would reach it, she would come down, hit the mattress, and chaos would ensue, pretty much. This was the idea. Hello, it's tea time, sir. Bonsoir. These were the contraptions she was coming up with, and I had some fun designing them. It was actually fun. She did also a little puppet theater and a roller coaster with toilet paper rolls, and I mean, basically she was designing miniature rides, like a theme park rides. Oh, Caffeinoman, about those matte pencil. Are they like some? I'm not sure, but is it comparable to the Kohl Erase kind of pencil? If you're familiar with them. Yeah, this was the puppet theater. It was fun to design, even though they probably didn't use it in the end. Getting close to oh, those little dragons. I showed them yesterday, some of them, and these were the initial sketches. I think I can show you the finished version of one of them. See, this one here is this one. So this is the initial sketch that I drew again on this little Strathmore paper art trading cards. And there has probably, I think there is another one. Yeah, I think this one is this one. Oh, there is another one too. Where are you, dude? Yes, one more. This one here. So, see? I'm gonna put them closer to the camera. I don't know if you'll see if it's worth it. I put them on Instagram recently, so there is like, will be easier. So this is watercolor, pencil drawing, and then watercolor. Here and there, maybe I used ink too, maybe a little bit of color pencil, but mostly watercolor. Anyway, thank you, Barket. Thank you very much. Thank you, Xavier. You'll see more of these dragons on Instagram. I'm posting the whole lot. Oh, there you go. There are some more. This one and this one, I ended up painting them too. Oh, this one too. Can't resist. So you have this one here, and what else? I lied. Well, I don't know if I'm skilled with watercolor. To me, this is not painting. This is coloriage. It's these were little practical exercises to come up with some palette. Yeah, well, painting landscape with watercolor from on location, I'm not too much into it, but I'd love to practice. So yeah, you can see this one, this is the original sketch, and then I drew it back here. Same thing here. I really like those little dragons. They're really fun. Anyway, more little weird dragon. This one is a motorcycle. Oh yeah, this is a sketch I did for PsyOp, for a commercial about butter in the Netherlands. It was not a good experience either. There you go. Oh, this is, then I left the Wonder Park project and I ended up coming back on the underwater shrimp project. But they had hired a production designer this time, and he was going towards a much more geometric and stylized visual style. So I did my best to try to help them with that. I never really succeeded, I'm afraid, but I tried. And actually, I kind of like the result, even though I don't think it was very successful, if you ask them. But it was fun. It was the first time I was trying to use my graphite skill with a much more stylized art direction. This page, for example, was a success for me. I was very happy, and I didn't look at them when I was working with, but the big influence here is Topi. I'm assuming everyone is familiar with Sergio Topi. In case you're not, I have a portfolio I bought a few years ago with some of his. This one is a black and white. So I didn't look at his work, but I remember all his very ornamental and decorative patterns. So little eye candy. This is not mine. This is the master. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, and he was a god. I mean, to me, he was. I mean, his work is absolutely amazing, and a lot of it is published. And surprisingly, if you're not familiar with it, it reads very well, I think. And through this very decorative and complex and sophisticated line work, he manages to guide you along the page of the comic book exactly the way it's supposed to be read. It's beautiful. Look at this one with all the microphones here. Damn, yeah, exactly. It's exactly the right word. If you don't know it, I envy you because you're about to discover it, and it's It's such a rare treat. And these are just illustration for this portfolio, but you should definitely check out his comic book. It's so, so, so beautiful. Oh, really? You find it hard to read on a comic? Well, to me, it's the opposite. I'm baffled at how easy I read the whole thing. And this is part of the, I think, of his magic, personally. Well, but I'm guessing it's my opinion. Anyway, bye, Sergio. Too much information? Well, yeah, it's a lot of information. So it's the end of the shrimp, the new version of the shrimp project. So this is the original pencil work, and this is the photoshopped version of it. So I corrected, well, I'm trying to show you both at the same time, it's tricky. Corrected the light. For example, you see here and there, so that it reads in a more efficient manner. It was a really fun exercise. I mean, actually, no, it was very hard. I'm lying a little bit, but I enjoyed the result. But doing it, man, it was hard. But I guess it was worth it. And this was digital exploration, but the print is crap. So anyway, I think we're touching the end of the sketchbook. And these were prints, and these are original drawings. I'm not familiar with the illustrator you're mentioning, Lost Brush. Let me take a look at his work. Thank you, Buka Lemon. So I'm checking out Pavel Tatarnikov. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I didn't know this illustrator at all, and it's beautiful. It is really beautiful. Wow. Thank you very much. I'll bookmark it and take a look at it. It's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, definitely. It reminds me of illustrated manuscript, medieval manuscript. There is another. His work reminds me of another artist. Let me get a book quickly. James Christensen. If you manage to find this book, I really recommend it. It's very interesting, and I really like the Très vite la voiture. Hello, Très vite la voiture. Welcome. Yeah, I really enjoy his tiny little drawings and his super rendered paintings. I'm not sure I'm too much into all the symbolism that goes with it, but those tiny drawings, I love them so much. And I admire his rendering technique, and the book is very interesting. The text is actually very interesting, and the way he explains how he deals with imagination and the influence of dream, and I love it. I think it's so yeah. I really recommend this book if you have the chance. James Christensen. Introduction by James Gurney. I mean, you know, there's nothing else to add, right? If it's James Gurney approved. Anyway, let's do a little bit of drawing. Oops. Do you have any question before I do something with my pencil and... Paul Kidby. Wow, another one. Paul Kidby. Let me check it out. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of close somehow. But James Christensen has much more a more classical feel, like Renaissance classical, I think. Anyway, paper. So, I have no idea what I'm gonna draw. I'm just gonna try to draw inside the frame so that you can see. Should I put on some tape? There you go. I'm gonna put some tape to make sure I keep the paper properly framed. I'm actually Post-its will do the trick. It's like a movie set here. There you go. Hold on. So this, in order to avoid smudging, I'm going to try to put on some lights to see if it can work. Oh, the light is not on. There you go. Sorry for the technical interruption. Yeah, as I said, it's like on a movie set. So, can I have some light? We'll see how brutal it looks. It's gonna look okay, I guess. Sorry for the sound of the electrical pencil sharpener. One of my best friend. So what should I draw? I'm not going to do the whole page, but if I do a combination of several shapes, someone asked me actually about the 3 pages I put together for Treecember. Treecember is a hashtag I came up with, and I try to enroll people. It's during the month of December, and it's pretty much, you know, an excuse to draw some trees. So what I usually do is that I pick up random shapes. I don't fall in my comfort zone. I bathe in it. It's come on, it's my first stream, okay? So um, so I guess I have the right to do a bunch of trees, right? December was fun. It was a good. I wish I had some more time to do some more trees, but you know, it was still good. Merci Zaro Dim. J'imagine que I'm assuming you're talking about the stream on Xavier's channel, right? Since it's coffee related. Exactly. Yeah, it was fun. It was. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So yeah, also it is definitely my comfort zone, but it's also an area where I drew so many of them that I have a large reference collection in my head, and I don't have to think about it too much. So that's also one of the reason I picked this. So this one came pretty fast. How about this one? So usually I do a pine tree at some point because it has this very elongated triangular shape. Um, we're gonna try to do something different. So all the S shape and curvy attitude mostly comes from the constraint of the page. If you yes, you're right. Yeah, I can see it too about the genie coming out of the lamp. Um, it does have this little um, you know 1000 night kind of bulbous roof. Um, um, dun, 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 dun. This one I'm not crazy about. I can see these ones pretty easily, but I'm gonna have to work more on this one. There is something called fasciation, which is a strange mutation that happens on some plants, and basically it creates some very unique shapes. And for some reason it reminded me of this. Some cactuses have some actually pretty strange looking ones. Dun, 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 dun. By the way, this is HB for those who wonder. I usually go between H and 2B, and sometimes 4B if I go super, I want to go have like super dark areas. Oh, okay, thank you. Wow. Yeah, I can see now. We'll see if it's a little. What do you mean by drops, Xavier? You mean the connection is cutting off? Um, Okay, so which ones are we gonna deal with? I think I'm gonna work on first on the render of this one. So it's pretty simple. Usually what I do is that I take my pencil like that, and I just do a first pass just to fill in the grays. And I can correct the outline of my silhouette if need be. Streaming. Why do I begin streaming? Because I'm trying to build up my social media presence. I want to do an art book through probably a Kickstarter kind of campaign, and I need this as some kind of structure to put the book together and to actually interact with people to see what they would like to see inside a book, an art book. So that's the main reason, aside from, being an attention seeker. Also to kick myself in the butt a little bit because it's not something I would naturally do. I mean, it's not like I'm drawing in front of you guys, but I know you're here, and it's not, to me, it's not very natural to draw in public. So it's better than draw in actual, in real life public, like I did early this week in a school, in a French school. I mean, it's actually harder to once you begin, it's okay, but the beginning is always hard. Thank you, Barket. So, yeah, I'm trying to change the direction of my hatching, my cross hatching, just to follow the volume as I see it for now, because it's giving for cheap a very very useful information. And as you're aware, as you know, drawing is a magic trick. Pretty much, it's trying to pretend that you have volume when you don't, where you don't, because this sheet of paper only has 2 dimensions, and I'm trying to fake it a third by using the shading technique. I had one of the only good teachers I had at the Art Décoratif school in Paris was the perspective teacher, and his first class was only him talking for like an hour and a half about art in general, and he made this brilliant. It was the class was really brilliant, and he talked about the fact that image and magie, which means magic in French, are perfect anagram, and how making images was basically a magic trick. And because you were able to fake this third dimension, perspective being one of the techniques you would use for that, but also because you were able to communicate with everybody. Thank you, Christine. Well, there will definitely be some trees. But I cannot, as I was explaining Xavier's yesterday after the stream, I can't use most of what I showed you today in the sketchbooks because not everything, but those are production sketchbooks, and technically I don't really, those drawings don't belong to me, they belong to the studios that I was working for at the time I made them. So I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit with the camera. Sorry for the shaky camera. No worry about the French comment. Yes, well, I don't know. I don't know if I feel like talking a lot. I mean, writing a lot. Um, I don't mind, art books. I actually don't read much of the text in the art book if there is text. So I'm not sure I'm gonna write a ton of stuff. It's tricky because it's my story. It's hard to have enough perspective to determine if it's how interesting it would be. Um, but that's why I'm here, because I'm not the best judge of what should be in the. I'm both a good judge and a really bad one about what should be in a book like that. Um, so I'll take your advice in consideration because, as I said, um, I'm probably not the best person to ask for about that. Sharpening. Merci beaucoup, Cassis, camarade syndiqué. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna use this beautiful tool called how do you call that in English? Stomp? No, right? Stomp? I don't mind you asking at all. Tea time. I'm currently 44 years old. I've been in the animation industry since 2008, so it's gonna be 15 years next year. Um, I begin. I didn't begin straight away in animation at all. Um, I, I I studied a lot of things. At the beginning, it was I even well another very important tool, the brush to get away with to clean out all the little pieces of eraser. Um, so yeah, I've been almost 15 years in the field, animation. And I was saying, yeah, I studied history of art first, and then I went to the Art Decorative School in Paris. Then I left, and I ended up graduating with a master's degree in graphic design in another school called the ESSEC Penningen, which was, and I'm assuming still is, and I'm hoping still is, a great school. I went there because I hated the time I spent at the Art Decoratif, and I knew that there was some strange rivalry between the two schools. So I assumed that if there was rivalry, it means that I would be happy there since I didn't really enjoy my time at the Art Deco. See, I just saw an area where there was already a hole poked in the silhouette, and I thought it was interesting to have this kind of jagged silhouette on this side versus to go against the general round shape. Um, and yeah, it's something I really enjoy with traditional media is that it's so cheap. It's not like I'm being cheap. It's because I have some fancy electronic equipment too, but the idea that you can come up with a design that you can sell to a studio for a lot of money, just with an eraser, this and this piece of compressed paper. I don't know. Always makes me think I'm fighting some kind of fighting the system somehow. Was it? It's blending stump. Thank you, Kaname, Lieutenant Kaname. Sorry, I forgot your title. Um, and was it difficult for me to start as a professional artist? It was very difficult. Um, I think it's difficult for everybody to begin in any field, but especially when you begin as an independent from the get-go, which was my case. I did some illustration for a couple of years before good fortune sent me. My wife was being, I mean, my wife got a job in the US, so she was like, "Do you want to spend a year in the US?" And I was like, "No, not really. My job is beginning to be a little more fun, and it's not the right time to leave." And then she convinced me that it would be silly to miss such an opportunity. So I ended up saying yes, went to the US, discovered, thanks to my friend Noel, the animation industry, and I had no idea um, that such an amazing job existed. Then I worked really hard to get my first job for almost 2 years, working on my portfolio really hard. So yeah, it was really hard, um, but very rewarding. I'm very happy, and I feel myself blessed every day that I'm able to earn a living just drawing. Um, yeah, well, the thing with being independent, it's not like it's very. I don't think it's intimidating. It's intimidating when you're having kids because your source of income is not completely, and it's not always reliable, and so obviously you're not gonna sleep very well at night sometimes. Um, Especially if you work in illustration, I'm assuming. I mean, I haven't drawn in this field for a long time, but I can. I know it's very hard and it's not fair, but that's the way it is, and it's probably a good reason why I'm not working in this field because I have a family to provide for. And as I was explaining yesterday, I'm okay to with not making a lot of money, but being treated like crap. No, it's not okay. And the experiences I had in the illustration world, in the illustration professional illustration field, I probably wasn't very lucky, but it was not a good experience. So I didn't leave it with a lot of regrets. Even though I love books, and this is pretty much what I consume the most. I don't know if consuming is the right word, but sometimes it feels like it more than animated movies. That's for sure. So I don't know if you can see it through the video stream, but I'm very light-handed when I'm doing this. I barely scratch the surface of the paper because I want to be able to go deeper later on. And if you go super dark from the very beginning, you're not going to have a big margin of um, shading. I don't know. It's a word. It's a concept I just came up with, I guess. Um, it's funny how there's always something that looks like a chicken in the trunks of my trees. I don't know if you noticed, but I did notice. And the weird thing is that first, that the fact that this chicken part is there, and the second is that I noticed and I didn't change. I like it. So there you go. First confession. There is a chicken in every trunk I draw, pretty much. So I'm very light-handed, which allows me to use the kneaded eraser very efficiently because I don't have to apply a lot of pressure when I'm using it to get efficient to be efficient with it. Sorry, my English is kind of broken tonight. The week has been pretty long. Do you have any other question? Feel free. I'm trying to remember to take a look at the chat. I'm gonna rework the top, the foliage here. The tricky thing when you're dealing with an organic shape is that you really have to pay a lot of attention to all the repetition that you're gonna naturally put in the design, because if you put that in an organic shape, it will quickly make it stiff and not believable as far as organic design is concerned. So you really need to pay attention to these symmetrical patterns and those repetition, including the ones in the negative spaces. And that's really one of the biggest rule you have to follow, I think, for anything that is organic. Oh, wow. I was just reading the comments about the butterfly. Wow, it has to be tricky. I'm poking tiny holes to give some kind of texture to the trunk. So I'm putting a little bit of shadow underneath and a little bit of shadow above so that the volume reads has some kind of a little bump. So I just sharpen the pencil and I'm very light-handed, I'm trying to be very delicate because I want to have this range of shadow, the range of possibility to darken the whole thing more if I decide I want to darken it more. And this part is in the light. So obviously light is gonna rule over texture all the time. So this is why I'm well, I don't know. After you've about the trickiness of coming up with a made-up tree, um, you know, once you design something and you make it your comfort zone, I guess it's not as tricky. About the comfort zone, by the way, I think comfort zones is great, and I'm not saying this is what's going to make you grow as an artist, but it will give you the confidence, the mental rest, and the joy that you need when you're going to come out of it. So I think a lot of people are looking down on it, saying that, you know, you always need to progress, and I'm not too. I don't really like this whole philosophy about, you know, you have, you know, the no pain no gain kind of thing, even though practically it's right, but you cannot be fighting all the time. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna get so exhausted that um, you need this comfort zone to be comfortable and to find a place where you actually enjoy yourself. This is a Pentel mechanical pencil, very thin, with thin lead. It's like 0.3. It's from, I think it's from Japan. I was mentioning them yesterday during the Xavier's stream. Wow, there's still 35 of you watching. Thank you. Or I mean, connected at least. You're drawing trees? Well, I have to set up a Discord channel so that we can share the drawings uh, we'll do together then. So once again, I'm very light-handed, especially because this is it's a very thin lead, but it's a if you apply a lot of pressure, you're gonna get a very dark, thin line, and I want to avoid it too. But I'm coming up with, I'm creating the texture the same way I would do with a regular thicker uh, pencil. Um, Gail is drawing big rocks. Well, we'll have to see them too. Uh, yeah, what do you mean by a joint tree drawing session? Can we draw together? Thank you, Lieutenant Kaname. Take some rest. It's too bad I can't hear you drawing. And when I'm saying hearing, I mean I had a teacher really cool teacher. Her name was Geneviève Constant at the Atelier de Sèvres. It's a school I attended to when I was trying to get into the Art Décoratif school in Paris. And we had an analytical drawing class with her. So basically, we would draw classical cast and also some installation she would come up with, and she would pass among the students. And with her very high pitched voice, at some point, she would say that she was complaining that she didn't hear us drawing, and it meant that we were slacking away, and that we would regret it eventually. So suddenly everybody was like, and it felt like you were in the south for a few seconds, and with all the cicadas singing all at once. It was great. She was a very good teacher. Oh, Gail, you had Geneviève too, as a teacher. She traumatized you? No, I can't believe that. You'll have to tell me about it. Yeah, well, when there are 30 people that are doing like all together, it really creates this very strange humming sound that is quite a thing to witness. Because drawing is a very peaceful occupation, and you wouldn't think that it can be so loud. And so okay, oh, it's coming along. What time is it? Okay, 10:45. I mean, in France. Where are you guys coming from? I mean, the people who are not in France, the English speaking people. Where are you? Are you in the United States or in England or somewhere else? Well, it's always sunny in California, right? I heard you had a very summer looking kind of weather recently. Netherlands, yes, Jeremy. Oh, you had snow? Well, it was snowing in the northern part of France too, I think. My mother-in-law is in Paris, and she told us that today that they had some snow. It was just cold wind today in the south, but beautiful winter kind of weather. Um, Scotland, yay! Oh my God, Scotland is the most beautiful country I've ever seen. It's yeah, I'm looking forward to the time when I'm able to come back. I hope I'll be able to bring my kids there to make them discover the country. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Genevieve. But yeah, I'm kind of masochistic too. You know that. So I mean, after all, I decided voluntarily to go to Penningen, so it makes me some kind of a weird nutcase. I mean, at least that's what some people made me understand very clearly when I left the art decorative school. Even though I have to say, I never regretted doing so. But well, I'll come back to Scotland, that's for sure. I have to. I want to visit. You know what? When I was with my friend Armel. We were sitting on the at the Old Man of Store, and we watched the horizon. We watched the ocean, and we looked at the map. It was 2003, so we didn't have smartphones or anything, and we had a paper physical map. And I looked at the map and I say, "Wow, can you see that? The islands where we can see in the distance. They're called the outer. I'm gonna butcher it, but Hebrides? I don't know to pronounce it. Les Hébrides extérieurs in French. And the word outer it made me think I was, watching the Valinor from the, Silmarillion, or some kind of world that was there, but that wasn't there completely. Um, it was one of the best memories I have. So I need to set a foot on those islands to make sure that it's actually possible to visit them. Um, Jeremy, by the way, I didn't remember that we're supposed to swap drawings. So if you're listening, I'm sorry I haven't been answering your message. I didn't forget. I will. I apologize. I'm usually faster to answer, and I'd love to, you know. So anyway, I'll send you an email. I didn't forget. I swear. Oh, you've been there, Lost Brush? So it's true they exist. They're not that out there. Sorry, crappy pun. It's the end of the week. So it's very subtle, but I'm slowly but surely I'm trying to create this spiraling kind of movement here. I don't know if you can see it, but that's my master plan. So I'm trying to make sure that this part is coming in front of what's behind, which means I need to darken it, and it's not even drawing, it's more like polishing graphite slowly but surely. And then I'm carving out some dark, I'm hollowing out some dark spots inside. And then on top of that, there is the back of this branch here that is going behind. So you have 1, 2, and 3 as far as the volume going towards the background. I mean, that's my goal. And I'm not sure those subtleties are very visible with what my cell phone is filming right now. I didn't find any fossils on Sky. Um, and I mean, I'm willing to believe you absolutely. I did bring back. I mean, I'm not sure. Is it me, or I can't remember if it's me or Ahmed, but one of us brought back the head of a sheep, actually of a ram, a small ram. We found the skull. It was completely bleached out, and we brought it back inside a plastic bag. It was completely clean, and so yeah, we brought back a skull from Scotland, not from the island of Skye. It's funny because I told the stories to some people that are on the chat tonight, so I apologize for repeating myself. But we went there in the winter, it was February. We were completely crazy because we thought we went there to look for the real Scottish vibe, with all the mist, and we had actually like almost only sun, and yet it was the coldest place I ever visited. And I lived in Cleveland for a year and a half, so I know what cold weather can mean sometimes. But the Scottish wind, it was not blowing; it was erasing whatever was in its path. It was crazy, so cold, and the weather was so beautiful, and I could only imagine what it would have been for us, because we planned on camping. We had a tent and everything. We ended up only going to bed and breakfasts, even though we were on a student budget, so we didn't have a lot of money. But it was either that or basically die. Hey Jeff. I hope you're doing. Jeff is an amazing watercolor artist that I met in Cleveland. Um, and he will confirm that it can be cold in Ohio sometimes, especially in Cleveland, right? Am I correct? I mean, it's a beautiful city, gorgeous place, loved it, but it can be pretty cold. We'll see if Jeff is confirming it. And by the way, if you have the chance, do go and visit Cleveland. It's an extremely underrated place. Um, Beautiful architecture, beautiful museum. The cemetery is also amazing. I know because I lived next to it for a year and a half, and the people are so nice. Oh, you went away. I didn't diss anything. I thought it was cold. It is cold. Cold is, it's fine. Yeah, it does get cold. But then when spring comes in July, uh, then you enjoy it for real, right? Whereas in California, it's always sunny pretty much, so you don't really see the seasons and you don't appreciate how lucky you are. I know you're kidding. I'm kidding too. Oh, by the way, Jeff, I mentioned the time where you came to visit, and we spent a few days in Paris yesterday when I was on the stream of Xavier, and how good of a memory it was, and to just be able to wander the streets of Paris and to draw. I mean, be there with someone who was also here to draw, and it was a really cool memory of mine. And I hope you'll be able to come and visit us in France at some point, because the South is definitely a different feel. You have to give it a try. Yeah, sun is oppressive. Yeah, says the man whose name is Santala, right? No, I'm not. I've never been in Annecy, and it's not a choice. It just happens that, this way. Um, I wish I'll be able to visit this year. I'd like I'd like to be able to steal one of the poster, the beautiful poster that I think Laurent Durieux designed, and it's absolutely gorgeous with the flying ships. I mean, boats. However, how do you call that? Sail ships? I'm losing my English. Anyway, beautiful poster. If you didn't see it, you should definitely try to find them on the internet. They're gorgeous. Are you going to be in Annecy, Jeremy? This weather is cold Canada. Well, yeah, well, Cleveland is right at the border with Canada, so I know the cold weather is coming from there. Well, I'm hoping you'll have a great trip. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, especially after COVID. I'm guessing everybody will be happy to meet in person. There's so much stuff going on right now in animation. I'm guessing the whole event is going to be buzzing with activity. So I'm using the stump to blend it to make sure that my white spot, which is the area being directly lit, really pops and stand out. So I blend together everything around to make sure that there is no actual real white left. Because as Jeff said, the sun is oppressing, so and it's has no mercy. So right now I'm really following the graphite texture and just like carving out the whole volume based on what's laying in front of my eyes. And it's a very pleasant trick. Yes, exactly. I'm doing fuzzy foliage most of the time because I find it hard, very hard, and I never really succeeded in rendering foliage in a way that, where leaves would actually look like leaves. So I decided to go with more of a fluffy kind of texture. Um, and it allows me to create an easier volume, even though it's not very naturalistic, uh, which I don't really care about, but I'd rather have a much more naturalistic approach for the bark and the volume of my tree. So I'll probably stream again in a couple of weeks. I'm planning on doing it twice a month so far. Unfortunately, on Twitch, you cannot set up a calendar if you're not streaming on a much more aggressive basis, which means if you don't stream regularly, they're not gonna give you the possibility to announce a stream. So I'll advertise about it on social media, probably Facebook and Instagram. So if you're not following me on these networks, you might miss it. So either Facebook or Instagram, I guess, will be the best way to be aware about the date of the next stream, but probably the mid-April, I would say. New follow, hi, Iloki. Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Stylization is indeed. I mean, at least it's fun. Even though, to be honest, some trees in nature look already super stylized. I'm looking at you, dragon tree on the Socotra Island, and I know the bottle trees and the baobabs, and we talked about it yesterday. But even though they're not natural, the bonsais can be groomed into some very stylized direction. I'm trying to add a little bit of volume inside the volume or the overall volume of the foliage, and I'm just darkening the overall. I need to pay attention to these two because they're supposed to go towards the back, so they're supposed to be as dark. I'm answering the question about music. No, I usually don't draw in silence at all. I'm listening to TV and radio show all day long, music, you name it. It's very rarely silent here, but I've heard it was a thing to, Xavier told me yesterday actually, or a couple days ago, that it was a thing to have music on Twitch. I don't know. And plus, that would be my music. I'm not sure I want to impose it on you, and I would probably need to find my playlist is very eclectic, so it can be switching from some very mellow music to some much more louder melody. So yeah, no, I do. I usually I do work. I don't work in silence. I wish I could, but I happen to have a little bike inside my head, and it's always spinning around, and so. But it's very strange for me right now. I'm by myself in my studio, and I'm talking to people who are not there, and I'm actually communicating with them, with you guys. So yeah, I'm guessing it's just the sound of my own voice, which is not the best music. Um, but yeah, no, I'm not playing any music right now. I could sing, that's true. Did I train to sing? Wow, maybe it's too late, or maybe I'm getting too old, but you're gonna have to explain what you mean. I train. Oh yeah, being by myself and talking to people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Okay, I got it. You're right. You're right. It was very good training. Thank you again for this rehearsal of some kind. But no, seriously, thank you, because you know, it showed me how it looked, so it was not as intimidating as it would have been without your invitation. Right now, I'm going to treat this whole round spheric volume as a sphere. So I'm going to try to have a spot here, which means I need to darken everything around. I don't want it to be too obvious, because obviously the material of leaves is not as shiny as a sphere made out of ceramics or glass, but I still want to have this feeling, that this very curvy shape and volume. Thank you. I'm happy people enjoy it. Thanks for bringing everybody with you. Okay, I think it's getting close. I'm getting close to an end. I begin to feel like if I'm pushing it more, I'm gonna butcher it. So I think it's a good time to at least take a step back and take a look at it. So this was the first tree. I don't know if I'll wait for the next stream to finish the page, or if I'll finish them in the meantime and then we'll do something else. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming. I'm I'm quite flattered that so many of you came and stayed, considering you know, it was the first one. Um, and I did have a good time. I hope it was the same. Thank you, Last Brush. You didn't have to twist their arm to make them come here. Well, that's good to know. I wouldn't want that. I mean, maybe for the first stream I wouldn't mind, but you know, then now you can be nice and gentle. There you go. I just poked another hole inside the root ball of this tree. Yeah, I did say I would stop before butchering it, right? So I won't even be able to complain when I'm actually doing it. Okay, I think it's I'm gonna try to put it, there you go. I like it. It's a cool one. Well, I do hope you had a great time. Um, please let me know. I don't know if you can send message on Twitch. I'm not sure, or you know, at least on social media. I'm just gonna try to look at the camera now. Maybe I'm gonna just try to switch to my other scene. Is it working? Yes, but it's stretched. Well, you know, I'll go back to the other one then. Sorry. Thank you for coming. I hope to see you next time. Bring your friends. We'll have fun and we'll draw a tree together in silence or in music. We'll see. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your Friday for the people in California. And